Standard English Rhythm. Introduction. Rhythm is a regular repeated pattern of sounds or movements. The languages of the world have different kinds of rhythm, determined by features such as stress and tune. However, our main concern is the English language. We will discuss the rhythm of English in this study section. Nevertheless, we will refer to the rhythm of some of our tonal Nigerian languages from time to time, so we could appreciate the difference in rhythm and understand the possible causes of the deviational use of English rhythm in Nigeria. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to define rhythm, discuss syllable, timing rhythm, discuss stress, timing rhythm, discuss English rhythm, and give examples. Meaning of rhythm. As pointed out in the introduction to this lecture, rhythm is the recurrent movement of speech. It has a regular pattern that is usually determined by stress or tone. Depending on the characteristics of the language involved, the recurrent pattern movement is often referred to in the literatures as timing. The idea is that the timing of the regular movement is determined by stress for some languages and tone for others. There are therefore stress-time languages and syllables-time languages. Why the rhythm of a Nigerian language like Yoruba is known as syllable-timed, many as a stress-timed language are viewed English. This implies that the stress pulses supply the periodic recurrence of movements. This results in the stress syllables occurring at regular intervals of time. The succession of stressed and unstressed syllables or words in the stream of English speech produces a natural, even fairly regular rhythm. Wales, 1989. Consequently, the natural rhythm of English is seen as providing roughly equal intervals of time between the stresses when unaffected by factors such as hesitation, which may low down the speaker, or excitement, which may speed him up. In more technical terms, English is described as a stress-timed language because English rhythm has an isochrony based on stress. Rhythm group or unit. The stretch of utterances from one stressed syllable to the last unstressed syllable before the next stressed syllable is referred to as a rhythm group or unit in English. Let us look at the following English sentence to buttress the point. All utterances written together belong to the same rhythm group. Do note the position of the stresses because they determine what words or syllables are packed together to get a typical rhythm of English, which is based on stresses. It is equally good to remember what we learned under sentence stress about stressing content words and unstressing grammatical words in English word groups. That will help in knowing why some words are stressed while others are not stressed. Mary and John are to dance at the show. Based on the stresses, there are 4 rhythm groups or units in this sentence. You must have noticed that the number of the syllables that have 3 each. Therefore, in an English rhythm group, all syllables are not equal. You must have noticed that the number of the syllables that make up the rhythm units vary. One has 1, another one has 2. 2 have 3 each. Therefore, in an English rhythm group, all syllables are not equal. A stressed syllable is generally longer than an unstressed one, especially if the unstressed syllable has a reduced vowel. Perspectives on rhythm. Now we know some languages, such as Yoruba, are termed syllable-timed, while others, such as English, are termed stress-timed. However, the dichotomous classification of languages into syllable-timed and stress time has been argued against by some linguists. Crittenden, 1986, upholds the theory of stress isochrony in English, but claims that all the syllables in a reading group cannot be compressed to be equal to the next reading group in exact timing, especially if there are many syllables involved. He argues further that when compared with the so-called syllable time languages, the classification is not so sharp. He argues further that when compared with the so-called syllable time languages, the classification is not so sharp. This is because all evidence suggests that both stresses and the number of syllables influence rhythm in all languages, but particular languages have a tendency to give greater or lesser weight to the stress factor. Another linguist, Knowles, 1974, also argues that viewing English rhythm in terms of isochrony is a misinterpretation of rhythm because the intervals between accented syllables are more equivalent than equal, and isochrony is rarely produced in natural conversational English. Therefore, it is good to note at this juncture that saying all syllables in a reading group will be produced within the same time limits as the next irrespective of the number of syllables in each reading group is not realistic. We can only take the timing as fairly regular, not exact. Stress timing is more valid as a perception phenomenon than it is in precise physical terms in speech production. There have been arguments against the dichotomous classification of languages into syllable timed and stress timed. It has been viewed as misleading since some languages of the world have shown the signs of being both syllable timed and stress timed, e.g., Spanish. English rhythm is, however, more stress timed than syllable timed. A different approach to the description of English rhythm was proposed by Bollinger, 1981. Rather than view English rhythm as a result of stress timing, he viewed it in terms of the patterns made in any section of syllables containing reduced vowels. What this means is that stress will not determine the boundaries of rhythm groups, but full vowels. With Bollinger's theory, the basic unit of rhythm is a full voweled syllable together with any reduced vowel syllables that follow it. Each rhythm unit must therefore contain only one full voweled syllable. However, this theory is not as widely accepted as the stress timing theory, which is still used by most linguists as a description for standard English till now. Paramount trait of rhythm. It therefore becomes important to note at this junction that whatever form of description is employed for standard English rhythm, the rhythm effect has a lot to do with stressing and unstressing. This is because all stress syllable contains full vowels. Majority of the unstressed syllables contain reduced weak vowels. Though some full vowels occur in unstressed syllables, they are not so many. A major characteristic of the spoken English language is to have strong full vowels in stressed syllables and weak reduced vowels in unstressed syllables. It is also good to note that when we speak English, some syllables are said longer and louder than others. English combines these strong and weak syllables to have a particular melody. This is called its rhythm. Weak syllable often contain the sound he or I or air is the weakest sound in English. It is a sound that is not so many in Nigerian languages, so it is often difficult for Nigerians to produce. A simplifying rhythm group. Let us take a look at the following sentences and their division into rhythm units or groups. Sentence: the man is unfortunate. Reading groups: the man is unfortunate. Sentence: Mary is a beautiful girl. Reading group: Mary is a beautiful girl. Sentence: what are the ladies doing? Reading group: what are the ladies doing? Sentence: see what I bought for you. Reading groups: see what I bought for you. The words typed together should be read together to achieve the isochrony of English rhythm, which is based on stresses. Each group should be produced equal or almost equal in timing to the others, not minding the numbers of words it contains. Study section summary. In this study section, we highlighted what reading is and established the difference between the rhythm of English and the tonal Nigerian languages and why they are different. We discussed the syllable timing as well as stress timing and emphasized that stress timing affects English rhythm while syllable timing affects tonal languages. We also learned that the rhythm unit or words. We emphasized that this timing is more perceptual than physical. End of study section 10. Thanks for listening.